Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Who's here first? Let's see. Mish. Mish, good morning. Hi. And Pamela, good morning. Hey. And Angela, hello. I might hang out a little in the mornings because, a lot of us are having strange waking and sleeping cycles, right? So thanks for joining God's Alley. Good morning to you. This is great. I wanted to cover this subject for a minute and decided to do it for some strange reason. I think I may have stumbled on some information about more inventors when it comes to hydrogen automobile technology. So I wanted to talk about the more recent strange event around this technology, as well as talk about what happened yesterday with the FBI raiding former President Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, Florida. I want to talk about that a little bit, about what is happening with this Joe Biden administration, how they're weaponizing the IRS and the FBI. Of course, they've always been problematic, as well as the CIA. Yeah, I know you're listening. What's up? Okay, God wins. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the subject at hand. A lot of people may not know the connection to the police officer from the Buffalo, New York area who was unalived this year during a strange, of course, racial incident that happened at a grocery store. So I want to go into this narrative and I want to see what you all think about it. Had you heard about this connection, possible alleged connection? But let me go ahead and read to you about the more current, I'll say, because there were some other strange incidents regarding this particular invention. Okay. All right. Ex-cop unalived in Buffalo, Pow Pow event. He invented powerful water-powered engine. So this is dated June 2nd, 2022. So this is from the Washington Standard. If you are familiar with the story of Stanley Mayer, and I want to put Stanley Mayer's. Okay, so Stanley Mayer would be the gentleman. Let's see. Are you all familiar with some of these inventors of hydrogen? Stanley Mayer will be the picture of the man that has the car that says Jesus Christ is Lord, water powered with the flag. That's Stanley Mayer, for reference. Okay. Is anyone familiar with Stanley Mayer? Let me know. So, going back to the article, if you are familiar with the story of Stanley Mayer, you know he created a car that ran on 100% water. We're told that he was poisoned during a business meeting with two NATO investors because he was a threat to the oil industry. Well, it's quite interesting that the recent Pow Pow incident that took place in Buffalo took the life of an ex police officer who had just invented a powerful water powered engine. Was his unaliving in the midst of the mass Pow Pow event a part of the plan, a conspiracy? Aaron Salter Jr., a security guard at the Tops Friendly Markets store in Buffalo, was unalived in the recent mass Pow Pow event, had reportedly just patented a new type of vehicle engine that runs on water instead of gasoline. Describing his invention as a newly discovered energy source, Salter, just prior to his unaliving, had been working on and speaking publicly about environmentally sustainable vehicles that have the potential to replace existing ones that rely on either internal combustion, which is gas, or battery powered electric engines. Salter's LinkedIn profile reveals that one of his main passions in life was coming up with a free energy transportation solution. In a YouTube video, he demonstrated how his 2010 Ford F-150 truck operated using an AWS hydrogen fuel system, which is based on water. So we're going to do 4 experiments today for the patent examiners. Salter, an ex-cop, said in the video, while proudly displaying his Police Benevolent Association shirt. What my system has done in taking advantage of the residue that's produced by electrolysis, he further explained. So we're going to actually start this vehicle without electrolysis. I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none. Salter's video is still available for viewing. Was Aaron Salter Jr. targeted by the deep state for coming up with a free energy solution to gas and electric powered vehicles? Back in 2016, Salter uploaded a post to Facebook explaining his position at AWS Hydrogen Technologies, LLC. It modestly read that Salter was excited to have started this company, believing that it is fully possible to power vehicles with water. I believe I can change the way we power our cars, boats, generators, and it comes from water, he wrote, calling the technology rehydrated hydrogen. And we can get one step closer to helping our planet rid itself of these dangerous hydrocarbons that are damaging our ozone and causing global warming to our planet. In other words, not only is the technology clean, running on abundant and virtually free water, but it also helps to clean the air of pollutants that already exist. Talk about a win-win solution. It is because of this technology discovery that some believe Salter's untimely unaliving to be suspicious. Was he targeted by the industries that stand to lose? Should Salter's invention have gone mainstream? It turns out that Salter is hardly the first person to mysteriously unalive not long after discovering and unveiling a new system that runs on water rather than fossil fuels or electricity. Stanley Mayer also came up with a water-powered motor technology right before he suddenly and strangely unalived while dining at a Denny's restaurant with two Belgian investors. Meyer started choking during the meal, ran outside, and claimed he had been poisoned just before he unalived, reports Baxter Dimitri for News Punch. There are videos of Meyer explaining his technology that can be found on YouTube. Some now believe that Salter's biggest mistake was filing for a patent on his technology. It was not long after this occurred that he turned up unalived in a mass pow-pow event. If you figure out a way to beat the oil companies, you have to open source it to the world and never apply for a patent, says Impaired Definity, because they will crush you and bury your patent somehow. So that's one article. And I'm glad to see, I was about to mention your video, Mandela Effect, Jonathan Bardsley. Everyone, I happened to be up early and I saw a comment by Mandela Effect Jonathan Bardsley. Please welcome him more warmly to our chatmosphere. I was so impressed. I thank you for the video. He sent me a video clip of the firmament, and I would play it if, well, you know what I'll do is I'm going to put a link to his video, but if you want to pop on Jonathan, I will drop a link at this point because I wanted to just treat this as I've been inviting people on. You're invited, but there's no pressure. Okay. You don't have to. But if you would like to, Jonathan, explain to our family here, the chatmosphere, what you shared with me this morning, because it was amazing. One thing that I was fascinated by, everyone, is the stages of water. And since we're talking about hydrogen automobiles and water technologies, and even with this new initiative to push us towards electricity, so electrical vehicles, and we think that that is a clean source, but others, we know that the process of getting that battery and everything, it's a nightmare. The cost of the cars is prohibitive for so many people at this time of high, hyperinflation and things on the way. So a lot of people cannot even conceive of that right now. But there is something better available. So hydrogen, water is plentiful, and the various stages of water, as we know, it's liquid, it's frozen, it's vapor. And something that Jonathan here has shared with me is that there's another stage of water which is like a gelin, like a gel, like am I saying it right? Sort of like viscous. So a viscous, and it reminds me of in nursing when people are not able to swallow and you thicken their water. So if anybody knows what I'm talking about, you can take water and thicken it. So that's what I'm thinking of, Jonathan. And let me go ahead and drop the link right now. So anybody is welcome to pop in, as I say, pop in and chat. What's up? Are you sad about the passing of Olivia Newton-John? You can talk about that. If you want to talk about the FBI's overreach and their obsession with Trump, they're like jilted lovers. They will not leave the man alone. He can't be a private citizen. And people are celebrating that the FBI raided his home. Looking for what? And the fact that the current resident son is a crackhead who does illegal dealings over in Eastern Europe. What do I want to say? You know what I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, okay? Anybody want to pop up, just go ahead. Oh, Denise is, good morning, Denise. How are you, Mrs. Bolin? How are you? Nice to see you. You know about that gelatin you added to, yeah, thickener. So I'm thinking when Jonathan shared this information with me of another stage of water, and the fact that the cosmology is now being discussed openly now, where I had no idea about these type of issues, and I didn't know a lot in terms of like things that we've had time to look into. So cosmology is really interesting to me. So I love learning about that, and what Jonathan shared about the firmament. And it was, you know what? I should just play it. Would you like me to just play the video? It's like 20 minutes. If somebody wants to pop on, I'll play the video until, let's see, if you want to watch it, or do you want me to drop the link of the video so you can watch it at your own leisure? But one thing that was interesting about the firmament, and we hear about what they're doing in the space programs. Oh, Jonathan can't join right now, but it's water with voltage flowing through it. Oh, okay, everybody. So that's the other form. And he has a lot of good information in terms of the firmament and the fact that stars, uh, we think that they're out there in space, and space is one of these things that's, not quite what NASA has told us. But he was showing how stars are in water. They're basically like this is we're looking at the firmament, and out there in space, imagine the waters above. And it's biblical for anybody who looks at a biblical point of view. There's a lot written in this area in terms of the waters above that are gathered, and then the great depths below. And I've looked at a lot of diagrams that make a lot of sense. You may have also. And I love what you sent, Jonathan. I thank you. Hey, Rudy and the dogs. Anybody want to join? Let me put the link back up if you want to pop in and talk about things. Are you concerned about the FBI raiding Mar-a-Lago? Are you concerned about how they're going to flood our country with IRS agents? So they're going to weaponize IRS. Does anyone have anything they want to speak to these issues of the overreach going on right now? Raids. We've seen raids of even journalists, right? So raiding, how do you feel about raids? Lots going on. Here's the link. Pop in. Anybody, you're welcome. Come take the floor. Talk about some things. Let me know what you think about what's going on when it comes to the FBI raiding Donald Trump, former president of the USA's home in Mar-a-Lago, going in to look for what? What were they looking for? Does anybody know? It's a safe. What's supposed to be in the safe? Anybody know? Let's put some things together. So, okay, former President Donald Trump's Florida home, Mar-a-Lago, was raided by FBI agents, Trump announced in a statement on Monday. These are dark times for our nation as my beautiful home, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, is currently under siege, raided and occupied by a large group of FBI agents, Trump said. Nothing like this has ever happened to a president of the United States before. So, the political persecution of President Donald J. Trump has been going on for years, with now fully debunked Russia scam, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and so much more. It just never ends. It is political targeting at the highest level. I mean, even if a person isn't pro-Trump, I'm thinking if you watch the narratives coming off of CNN, I would be over it by now. Like, they are like obsessed lovers hiding in bushes for Trump. And meanwhile, you've got Joe Biden. Are you effing kidding me that they have time on their hands? They got a war going on in Ukraine. They have immigrants coming through the borders like Swiss cheese. The guy down in Texas is now flying them into New York or busing them to New York City, where the mayor is now crying foul. But in all fairness, New York City is a sanctuary city for people that are fleeing for political asylum. We'll say that for now. So New York, sorry Karen, but this is, the politics of your city. They have wanted to be a sanctuary city, the politicians. So how can he cry foul that Abbott is sending people trying to spread the love, and spread it out to the sanctuary cities that, are on record as being sanctuary cities? Anybody want to jump in? So, weaponizing of the FBI, looking at how they are now pushing through lots of green initiatives. They want us eating grasshoppers on shish kebab sticks. They want us to eat fake meats and have food shortages and look like Venezuela, Cuba, the old Soviet Union. This is the unfortunate consequence that is not a popular thing to talk about in our current culture and society. Consequences are like people just but this is the natural progression of throwing away sanity. So we have C4 Worldwide Rap Nation. F pedo Trump. Come on. It's the same pedo elite. Come on. Let's put it on here. Okay, let's see. F pedo Trump. Come on. It's the same pedo elite. Come on. Don't you see? We must take the power back. We are to make the future for children. Ole. Is that Ole? Do you want to come on? I dropped a link. Would you like to talk to us about your position? Thank you for joining, by the way. Good morning, C4 Worldwide Rap Nation 11. Would you like to be a guest? Here is a link. Tell us how we should help the children. What's going on in your world? Here's the link. Here it is. Welcome. Step right up. Let your voice be heard. Who wants to come on and chat? Okay, so where was I? Trump noted his previous cooperation with law enforcement and called the FBI raid of his home prosecutorial misconduct. Trump also said it was an example of the weaponization of the justice system, who desperately don't want me to run for president in 2024. So that is dealing with the raid that happened yesterday. And I'm not sure what they were looking for. Does anybody have any answers for what they were looking for? The whole political classes are of the same ilk. Otherwise, they never get to a level that can affect things. That's a good point. Good point. Nancy, what are you saying? I think they are sending some to DC too, and the mayor there is asking for protection from the National Guard. Okay. So anybody know what were they looking for by raiding the Mar-a-Lago home? I'm still looking through the articles. It says something about a safe. So they were looking for, let's see what this one might say. This guy, no, that's the same thing I just read. Anybody have answers for what they were looking for? but I see a lot of people are celebrating. Yeah, files and documents, but what files and documents? Thanks, John. What in particular? Is there a certain thing that deals with what, January 6th? What's going on, like with the files and documents? Because aren't isn't there something going on? They are finally investigating Hunter Biden and his dealings. I hear that that's heating up right now in this month of August. So a lot is happening. And let's see, Tesla documents, Mish is saying. So you're saying Tesla documents. Oh, okay. So you think that's what it is, Mish? What makes you think that? Are they looking for the death ray, the unaliving ray? Things concerning national security. And you say blackmail stuff. Okay. Anything they could get on him, I imagine this is just inner turmoils within the rotting system. Yeah, it's like we're in the middle of a war between, like, I don't know, neighbors or something. Yeah, I was reading a comment the other day where I was talking about neighborly stuff, and someone said they hate their neighbor. It was not funny, but I was chuckling a little bit because of just it just the honesty. I just love honesty like that. And she was just saying that she hated her neighbor, and that happens. I mean, neighbors get to, heated levels, and how they say fences make good neighbors and all of that. And what is it? Familiarity breeds contempt. You've heard that term. So sometimes the neighborly thing doesn't work out real well, but it can get really, heated. But I don't know. I'm just thinking that this is it's hard to watch, because it does feel like in neighborhoods. I've lived in neighborhoods where certain neighbors were at war with each other, and it makes the entire neighborhood feel unsafe, unsavory, and it just changes the atmosphere. Do you know what I'm talking about? So I mean, that happens with family members at the holiday table, if you can feel the tension. So with this is what this feels like. It feels like a lot of factions are at war against each other, and the ones that want everything to we don't want to go back to normal. I don't want to go back to normal, because I learned I don't even know what normal is, okay? And I want to go back. I want to go, if going back is going back, like back to Eden. I'm always saying that as a trope, back to Eden and becoming self-sufficient, letting the government just fall into the sinkhole that they're falling into now. It's ridiculous that Nancy Pelosi at her age, and it's not even to make fun of them. It's from a logical, just it's logical. Okay, I don't have another word for it. Why are we talking about elderly people who are running around like villains in Gotham City, and they're pocketing money and doing things that are just so unbelievable. And they're doing it right in front of our faces at this point. But they're like your cratchety grandfather or your evil granny, running around doing devilment. And they've been in government for their entire lives, like since their youth. And they've made millions, if not billions, and all of the influence peddling. And we're tired of it. We don't like them, and they don't represent us. They have hijacked our entire country. They have amended our documents to make this land lawless and full of violence. And this man that you see on the screen, who had an invention that surpassed electricity. But these men were also using the talking points of the green movement. So aren't the green people up in arms looking into this man's death? I mean, he's a black man. Isn't it Black Lives Matter? Weren't they on that mission? Why don't they say his name? His name is, let me put his name up here. They should say his name. Why do we have to say the names of Fentanyl Floyd and these cartels of little criminals and thugs that they want to tell the black people are their leaders or somebody to admire or march for? They can't get us marching anymore. All of this stuff has been used and abused. They've run out of cards. It looks like they're going to try some nuclear stuff. What do you think about the nuclear threat that they're trying to scare people with? If you've seen the commercials, they're unbelievably cringy. They had a commercial in New York for that market where they were saying, oh, if something happens, a nuclear blast, you don't want to be outside, you want to get inside. And this is like health agencies, like official departments are putting this kind of information out for the public. Get inside your apartment because outside is not safe for nuclear blast. And recently, Paul Romano found one gem that they've had to scrub because they were trolled so hard for out in Ventura County, California. They had public service announcements for possible nuclear explosion preparation. So this is the new thing. To be prepared for it could happen, and so they want to scare people with this. And the thing that they were doing is somebody picks up a guitar and starts playing a song, and this is for nuclear preparedness. Picks up a guitar, sings a song. They're talking about, I think, again, get inside, deep inside a building somewhere. And it's laughable. But I remember when they were talking about the suitcase nukes. Remember? That was a big scary thing that happened. I remember I used to listen to Alex Jones a lot around that time. And it was this whole scare about suitcase nukes all the time. And now, the monkey thing isn't getting off the ground, the this, the that. And meanwhile, they're pushing for these green initiatives during hyperinflation. And these are elderly people doing this. I just want to stress this again. This would be like your grandparents running the country into a ditch because you should have taken the keys and their driver's license. We should have reported them to the state a long time ago to take their license away. You know what I mean? I remember when my grandfather, he picked me up from the airport, Philadelphia airport. And he was such a great guy. I love him. Loved him, loved him, loved him. So he's picking me up from the airport, and he was going out the wrong way when we were leaving. He must have gone into one of the areas, but he was going against the traffic. And I didn't know what to do. It was so scary. Before he got himself together and he was able to course correct, and it wasn't a lot of traffic, thank goodness, and people weren't going as fast on that particular road. But that's when I realized my grandfather, as great of a guy as he is time that he stops driving, because yeah, it's not safe. So we have these elderly people like Nancy Pelosi, who's, trying to start a war over here in China and Taiwan, and she's flying over to Taiwan and, saber rattling, getting them saber rattling over in China. And so we're on the precipice of so many, I don't know what you want to say, very like tender, very, very, what is it? Volatile, potentially volatile situations, and the leadership leaves a lot to be desired. In circumstances like this, you want a strong alpha man, a strong alpha man with some virility. Thank you. Let's see. Truth Mayaters. Hi, welcome. You said black is death. Death lives matter. Well, yes, they do, to George Soros and friends. That's a good point. Yeah, black in terms of the social designation and what the real definitions, if you have old dictionaries. Would you like to join Truth Mayaters? You're welcome to step up and talk about anything. If you would like, let me, put the link back up. Anybody want to pop up? I mainly wanted to bring to the floor the situation with this hydrogen technology. Let you know about the various players there. Hey, Erica, good morning. You said trust, they have to show the truth now. Yeah, Erica. That's right. And that's why it's so bizarre, because they have greetings. Oh, you are in Barbados, Truth Mayaters. Greetings to you. You are welcome to join. How is it going in Barbados? I don't hear a lot about, things going, badly. I am hoping everything is going well. I know it's beautiful. And I always think the islands have abundance. I know they try to make us think that everything has to be imported and everything, but I don't believe that. I know that people that live in the Barbados Islands and the other islands, you all know the old ways, and you have the wisdom that a lot of us have lost, and you know how to sustain. And I love it. You don't believe in nuclear power. That's interesting. A lot of people are starting to talk about that they don't believe in nuclear power. And I've been wanting to cover some things about nuclear power. I think I will. I have a book that I was reading. I started to read, actually. You know how you want to read so many books, but this book is dealing with the aftermath of Chernobyl, and how the people that were working at that nuclear power plant, what happened along the chain of command, and what was the actual problem and the breakdown in their system to cause that horrific, if you want to say, accident. There's a lot of intrigue and mystery around the Chernobyl incident, and I didn't realize it. So this book is fascinating. But I may just talk about that because the nuclear threat, we used to hear more about it, where they would scare us about that. And I know that my mother's generation, they were afraid of the atomic. So that was the atomic age. So the atom bombs and whatever. So I know when she was in school in Philadelphia, they taught, that was the silly meme. You could look at the kids going under a desk as if, that's similar to what they're doing to us not right now with the commercials, the public service announcements about go inside if you see a nuclear blast. Okay, so I'm thinking along the lines, truth mayaters, that this whole nuclear thing is leaving a lot to be desired, because the fear pandering that they do, and the fact that, nuclear programs, they use this for geopolitical bullying, because they'll tell Iran that they can't have nuclear power. They'll tell, well, Pakistan has it, so what are they going to say? It's like, pull up, right? Pakistan's like, pull up. Okay, so we get to be the police about who can have nuclear power. And from what I understand, nuclear power is, it is a power, right? We could use it, but in terms of using it for this destructive ends, I'm now questioning it. I have it on the table where I don't believe that they have all this power and stuff, because if they did, they would have used it by now. That's my real simple theory, is if they really had all of this nuclear stuff, they would have done something by now. They're that evil. We would have seen more examples of this besides nuclear power plant issues. I mean, 3 Mile Island, I live near that. And, so we have issues over the years. But I'd like to revisit the whole nuclear threat, nuclear energy, and what is this real, what's going on? Can they do this stuff? I think they can do things, but it's more localized. But to take out big areas, I don't know. What do you all think? You believe that they have nuclear power? Pop on. The link is right there. You're welcome. Talk about nuclear power, nuclear threat. What do you think is going on? Do you think, in terms of this midterm election and how the Democrat Party is now so completely insane, that they have just in a short period of time shown that these people need to be in nursing homes, like psychiatric nursing homes for, they don't need to be running a country like America. Oh, John D is on. Welcome, John D. Thank you. Good morning there.
Good morning,
Hi.
Jen. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can everyone hear John? Let us know if you can hear John. I can hear you, John. Welcome and good morning.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me up.
Oh, you're welcome. So what do you want to cover?
Well, you're up here asking somebody to come up just to conversate with, basically. Um, Everything you discuss, I think, is very important for society right now, to be able to seek the truth and learn what our real past and history is. So many things, so many. A lot of people said, we've been lied to and things have been covered up. And I think, too, there's different ways of looking at stuff. Um, like, you could take any topic of our history and say they lied to us. But it's not so much they lied, they just didn't give us the full story.
Okay.
And we can say that and even prove that today by look at J6 and what happened. We're getting one side of the narrative on mainstream media and actually history itself. They're not telling the full story. And that's the same thing they've done all throughout time. It's to go with a narrative that they have set in place. They want to achieve certain things. So, it's like, okay, this is what we're going to present, this is what we're going to go with, and this is what's going to go in our history books.
Mm-hmm.
Just here a while back, I was watching somebody else's podcast, and they were discussing things, and I made a comment. I said, look at how many pyramids are in every continent in this world. And some of them were saying, well, not in this country. And I proved it. I said, look, yeah, there is. At one time, we as a society were connected. We were one people. And we didn't have all this diversion and division that has been put upon us throughout time. You know, it's very interesting to when you start to realize a lot of it was planned that way. You know, the expression "divided we will fall."
Right.
I believe that's very true. You know, you see that in everything in our society today. You know, they got the old against the young, and the blacks against the whites, and on and on and on. And
Right.
it's like, you know, a lot of this, and people say, well, it's the Illuminati, it's the Masons, it's the so on and so forth, you know. But the real answer is within each and every one of us.
Yeah.
And there are bad people in every walk of life, every culture, every color, every, and this is what we're against, is the bad people
Right.
in this world. You can't really say it's any one group or anything like that because it's within. It's like an infiltration. I believe the whole narrative today with this virus is kind of like, wake up, people. There's a virus among us. And it's not really a so much a medical thing, which it is. It's in that as well. But if you look at it as a symbolic view, you know, there's a virus amongst us, you know, and we need to figure out how to cure this thing, you know.
Yes. I like that. And things that, you know, go viral, you know, and that is the challenge. It starts with each of us. And I'm seeing just what you're saying, John, connecting to everything that's unfolding in terms of government. You know, what I was ranting about, the age of the politicians in this country. It's not so much about bashing older people because, you know, I'm an older people, you know, but it's about knowing when things have gotten so far out there, like term limits. It's about term limits. I mean, in terms of politicians, they should be more like maybe younger, and then a mix, you know, not just people that have just been around so long, and just having common sense. But it starts with each of us, you know, and we can self-govern ourselves if we go back to the basics, it seems, you know, uh, knowing what's right and wrong. Like you said, it starts inside. And if we can govern ourselves according to a law, because I mean, I know a lot of people don't have to be Christian to agree that it's like the 10 Commandments. I don't think that would offend anyone of any other religion. Am I wrong? I mean, John, what do you think? Do you think the 10 Commandments would offend or go against anybody's religion?
The only thing it would go against, I believe, Jen, is putting it and classifying it as a religion.
Okay.
We could call it morals. We need a state of morals, you know. And that, I believe, a lot of people, even I discussed this with a young fellow one time. He said there's actually a book of morals. He said he's not religious, but there is a book of morals out there.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, you know, we got to start somewhere.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
believe just through time, even as good of an intentions that maybe they had in developing the United States and different things, over time, greedy people got into places. Um, People who just have bad intentions, period, got into different positions. Um, you know, I think that's the way we have to look at it instead of trying to say it's this group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not a group of people other than bad people. That's the group we're against.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think because, I've met a lot of good Masons in life. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've met a lot of, different people in the different churches in life. Um, so it's not a certain, something you can say, okay, this is who it is. Remember, these are wolves dressed in sheep clothing.
Mm.
They hide amongst us. They're
Right.
in our churches. They're in our government. They're in our police department. They're in everything, you know.
Right.
But
Right.
it's not a group, And if you really stop to think about it, that's their deception. You know, they want you to think it's this certain group over here, um, and then they can put you at war with each other. You know,
Mm.
they can drive that wedge in between us.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, John, because I have heard, as many in the chatmosphere have heard that the founding fathers were Masons, and that there are good Masons, like you said, good people in all groups. And, I know that it's easy to just the broad stroke paint groups, especially when we're in these confusing times, because I have been very hard on the Masonic, fraternities, sororities, and orders and things like that. And it's based on my personal, it's more of a personal bias I have now against these groups, because I'm looking at the bad sides. I haven't gotten to see good things. I'm just now kind of leery of things that are secretive, and just not wanting things to be cloaked like that. If there are groups that are affiliated somehow and have amassed maybe some power, that's when it gets to be a bad thing, because we need to know who is who, you know,
But
among
that,
us.
but that's just it. That's like just looking at somebody, you can't tell. you
Right.
know.
Right.
And that's what one of the ways they deceive us was, we look at these people in government and they got the perfect hair and the perfect teeth and they speak very fluently, you know.
Right.
Um, but that's not to say they're good people, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
We look at people and we try to judge people by the things they have in life, you know. We
Right.
look up to these people who are multimillionaires, and now we're finding out that a lot of them are pedophiles and they're involved in some dark stuff, you know.
Right.
So you can't go off of looks, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another way they deceive people, you know. I've seen a lot of times where just they use the color of us,
Right.
to put us against each other. And it's like, because that's a visual thing. And it's like, no, people, to me, it's like we have stuck labels upon ourselves and each other,
Mm-hmm.
and they've stuck labels on us as well. And take the
Right.
labels off. Take the labels off. There's only, we are one human race, you know. So they developed the word racist and racial and all these words, and they put them in a dictionary and they put it out here for us. And it's like, come on, people, that's a lie in itself. We are one race. We're the human race, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, we have differences. We are different colors. We have different backgrounds. We have different, but that makes the world unique. It
Mm-hmm.
makes us all, I can remember I'm 59 years old, and I can remember growing up, and I remember my mom was watching TV, and you know, never really thought about color of people.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at a person as a person. Yes, even as a kid, I had that, um, you know, yes, that person is a different color, but they're still a human being, just like me. You know,
Yeah.
they might have grown up in a different environment than I did. They might have different beliefs because of that, but we're all human beings. But I remember my mom was watching Oprah Winfrey,
Mm-hmm.
and Oprah was saying, and this was the time prior to that. I remember black people used to say black is beautiful,
Right.
and I think everybody agreed with that, you know, and we were trying to get the equality and everything, to
Right.
where it should be in life. And Oprah made a statement saying, "I don't want to be judged by the color of my skin, but from where I came from." And
Mm-hmm.
then everybody started using the phrase African Americans.
Oh, okay. Right. Right.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, you know, myself, I'm white, but I can't trace my roots back all the way back to, really where my whole ancestry has been through, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think anybody can, you know.
Right.
That was a false statement she made, and it gave everybody a false belief
Mm-hmm.
because that kind of divided now.
Right.
Where the black people used to say black is beautiful and we're proud to be an American. Now it's like, oh, we're African Americans and whitey, and it just created a whole different atmosphere.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. She was very influential when I look back at Oprah, just that one person, what she has done to cause a racial divide. Yet at the same time, her greatest, supporters were, I would say, white women and white women that were probably would be considered well off, if you know what I'm saying. That was her real demographic who supported her. And I watched her ascend and then get that support from rich white women. And then in a sense, took her pants down and mooned them. You know what I'm saying? By saying she started with the whole racial thing and she became really I watched it. It was like she flipped and she started going into this narrative, and she had that ridiculous. Do you remember when Oprah complained that she was in Paris and she wanted to go to this boutique and it was after hours and they would not keep the boutique open for her? And she made this big to do about it, like, oh, how did they just do this to her in Paris? Well, they didn't care that she was Oprah, a celebrity from America. They wanted to get home to their families because they had already worked hours and these people had lives outside of their jobs. But for her to then turn that incident, and she said it was a racial thing, you know and she started to do real agent type of stuff like that, and she became such an enemy to everybody. I mean, it's like her fan base, she basically turned on them. She turned on black people a long time ago, and then she then tried to court black people when she told everybody to start worshiping the new black messiah, Obama.
Yeah,
Remember, she was the one that ushered Obama in because black people did not like Obama. I'm going to tell you, at first they were not rocking with him because they were like, who is this guy? We could tell he wasn't from the mud, okay, if you know what I mean. I'm talking about foundational black Americans that come from the mud right here. We knew he wasn't from the mud because you could tell. You'll have certain stories from your childhood. This guy has stories of living in Indonesia and all these exotic places. and he's not from the mud. So his name even is not a name from the mud, you know? He would be named like something like Tyrone, maybe Williams or something. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So he's got this exotic name right after 9/11, when we were told everybody with a name like that is an enemy. So he's coming through right after that happened, basically. And people weren't rocking with him. The black people I knew at first, they were like, "Who's this guy? He was corny," you know. But then he had this black wife who's from the mud, basically. And I know you guys are going to put in the chatmosphere that that's, Big Mike and all that. But I just want to say from the beginning, Big Mike was wearing all that cute stuff from what is it, whatever that store is that she was shopping at. And everybody was like thinking this was a cute black family, cute kids and everything. And yeah, it was all sham, and Oprah pushed it all on us. So then we have 8 years of Obama, and racial issues haven't been worse. I mean, they couldn't be any worse than when he came in, the first so-called black president. So a lot of black people are starting to, we're starting to like kind of look at things and do the math. And a lot of people are realizing like they are holding an empty bag for all of their marching and all of their voting and all of their falling out with friends and family over Obama. I mean, I had family members fall out with me because I wouldn't worship at his feet. And
Right.
I would tell them, like, okay, I'm your family member. If you needed me, I had an uncle, he passed away. I drove from LA to San Francisco across the bridge to pick his black behind up and drive all the way to Mount Shasta so he could see his son. I'm his niece, okay? I did that. Do you know how far that is? LA to San Francisco, then over to Marin County, and then up to Mount Shasta so he can see his son. But he is mad at me, falling out with me because I don't like Obama. And I cussed his butt out. I was like, look, if you need something, will Obama drive from LA and drive you to Mount Shasta to see your son? Will Obama do that? No, it's me, your niece, who you're fighting. And now everybody looks stupid as hell for this kind of stuff. Yeah, J. Crew. Exactly, Nancy. Yeah, everybody was loving. It was so cute in the beginning. I was even told by a lot of people that I looked like Michelle Obama. That was the big thing. Everybody, oh my goodness, it was all about Michelle Obama. Oh my God, you look just like her. I got into a free I got a free meal out of that at least once, looking like Michelle Obama. So, John, okay, so what are you thinking in terms of this raid on the former president's? Do you think he's the former president, or do you think that he is running a presidency parallel? Do we have two presidents? What are your theories? Share them.
You want my conspiracy theory?
Please. I have my tinfoil turban really close by. Do I need to grab it? My
You
tinfoil.
might, you might just to be safe.
Okay. All right. Yeah, please. This will be great.
Well, just like in when you read the Bible, there's a lot of symbology, a lot of things is told in a way where um, you get the picture if you're not really so much focused on the itty bitty stuff. You know,
Right, right.
I think Trump. If you really look into Trump, he's been surrounded by bad people all through his presidency, even his life. You know, but
Mhm.
at the same time, like in New York, he was surrounded with the mafia. He dealt with the mafia to get things done.
Hmm.
Um, he bought China steel and to make his buildings. So he's been kind of around the block, you might say.
Mhm.
Um, and also, um, there's a lot of things that Trump has done that I believe are good things, and maybe he has been a part of a um, organization that has seen all the things going on, and something has to be done, or else, we see and we know that there's a lot of things that were being put in place, like the New World Order, um, population control, all these bad things. Um, but I believe Trump is being um, used for a good cause. Um, that's just like the FBI thing. The first time in history that the FBI has raided a former president's residency. Okay, making history and setting a new precedence. So if they go after Trump, or if they're allowed to, and they have done it, maybe Trump agreed to it. This way, you set a precedence where now they can go after Obama, they can go after the Clintons, they can go after the Bushes. You know, it's kind of
Oh,
like they opened a whole new Pandora box.
oh, wow.
That's my conspiracy theory.
That is an awesome. Now, John, you shared a conspiracy theory that was packed with the theory and the conclusion. I love it. Wasn't that amazing? I like that because that's well thought out. How you had the twist. There's always a twist and alternative ending there where for those that believe that God wins, and that this is ultimately God's plan to bring the evil people to heal, as Hillary said, she was bringing the super predators to heal. So we are, God is using his people, and he uses people a lot of times, so he'll accomplish his mission through people. And I hear what you're saying. So while he's bringing the evil people down, and they are their own worst enemy. So the whole thing about even Trump being raided, you show how this can backfire immediately on them. And they're cheerleading it. I saw how all these Hollywood lefties are all happy about it. And they're looking at this like the Nixon Watergate kind of situation. And the fact is that if we live in a police state like that, that affects them too. They don't realize they're like opening up a police state for everybody and cheering it on.
Right.
And yeah, and so if this can now happen as a precedent, like you're saying, then somebody put up that they saw that Obama has citizenship in 6 different countries. I mean, for the type of things that would be counted as crime for the previous administrations, for them to open up this can of worms on Trump, it now will it'll splash back on them. Is that what you're saying, John? I love it.
Oh, exactly. And this isn't the first time. Even 9/11, um, the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act, even though it was basically unconstitutional, they were able to say it was legal. And this was the Bush Obama administrations. That can backfire on them as well. Because now you just gave the NSA, CIA, FBI. I mean, we got 17 intelligence agencies.
Right.
Um, just gave them the ability now that they can actually look into and even save, let's say, Hillary Clinton's emails on, um, their servers.
Right.
They've done got it all. Is some of the things that we've heard.
Mhm.
You know, I think there's a lot going on behind the scene. It's kind of like the Wizard of Oz.
Right.
Um, at the end, they go and they find the little guy behind the curtain. You know,
Yeah. Right, right. That is, yeah. It's the irony of it all because I like going down those rabbit holes. I did, really entertain a lot of that about things going on behind the scenes, but it's fun to ponder and like I said, like open up your mind to that and read some of the narratives about what's going on behind the scenes. Currently, I really have been getting really down to the mud, like I mentioned earlier, you could tell people who are from the mud.
right?
Yeah, it's like getting back down to the mud and wanting to be a good steward of the land and being concerned more with the land and being a land holder, land, you know, someone who produces and can be self-sustaining. What is your thought on self-sustainability? What are you doing in terms of preparation? Are you a person who believes in preparation? And what is something you could share with people about it?
Um, I love to camp, and I have plenty of things where, you know, if something does happen, I believe it won't be an extended period of time. Like I believe in humanity. Just as there are darkness in this world, I believe there is goodness in this world.
Mm.
And I do believe that, you know, um, there is a group, um, just as there are dark groups behind the curtains, there are good groups as
Mhm.
well.
Mm.
And even like now, a lot of people look at things on a negative side. They're all caught up in this, um, you know, population control and wanting to kill us all and this and that. And a
Mhm.
lot of things um, can either go either way, like a lot of these processing plants that caught on fire, uh,
Right.
the cattle that's died, you know.
Mhm.
Um, when you look into the different things, I grew up on a farm. Um, they've been manipulating the genetics of the products that we eat.
Right.
Maybe it was necessary to get this stuff off our shelves.
Mm.
Um, you know,
Mhm.
cattle that's been DNA altered, food that's been DNA altered. Um, you know,
Mhm.
because if you look at what's going on today, a lot of people aren't really dying of anything new. It's it's our diet. You know, we're
Right.
eating stuff that's been altered and messed with, and I can remember growing up on a farm and having fresh food. Totally different than what you're getting in these stores today.
Right.
That's like a tomato. Um, tomato don't last very long once you pick it,
Mhm.
and they altered it where now they can last a couple months and send them overseas and stuff. But you lost most of the nutritional value out of that tomato,
Right.
and people are eating it thinking, "Hey, I'm getting nutritious food in me," but your body's still hungry, so it turns to sugars because sugar is high in energy, and you know, um, people now are drinking energy drinks and high sugar stuff, which is the bad fatties, the bad fats.
Right.
So this is, you know, we have a health problem in not only this country but the world, that needs addressed, and that's why I say, this whole pandemic thing that they put on it, I believe more so people are starting to realize that, and people are wanting to start growing their own food now. They're
Mhm.
wanting to go off grid. They're seeing how, we've been taxed to death. We've been in debt.
Right.
paying debt that we never even encountered.
Right.
Somebody else's debt we're paying.
Hmm.
So there are just so many things right now. But me, I try to look at both sides, and it's kind of like I'm leaning toward the good side. I see some good stuff coming.
Okay. I like that. Wow, this has been so nice, John. Thank you for popping in. This is wonderful. I invite more people to do this. I will be popping in more often, and we can talk about events of the day and different subjects. And you can have the floor, if you want to talk about some things that are on your mind, on your heart. If you're doing something you want to share, like we have someone growing, Angela's doing heirloom tomatoes, and she may have some tips that she might want to share. And that's where it's at. I like John's attitude and mindset of expectation of good things as we're watching the collapse. Even with the food chain issue, you put such a positive spin on that this is a restart for us in a sense too. I mean, they use that word so nefariously, but a restart is not a bad thing. When my computer needs a restart, I don't think it's a bad thing, right?
Right.
So for us to have a good restart and have the ability to grow hemp and clean the soil and to do all of the back to Eden type of things and do commerce between each other and not be a part of their system. Even if you want to opt out of cryptocurrency and you want to use real currency, we can create currency among us. We can on a state level, we can create currency again. And maybe that's what I'll come back tomorrow morning. How about we talk about currency tomorrow morning? And I'll grab some images of some old currency that was state level currency. And let's just talk about currency and money. And if you're a money honey or a money bro, come and give us some tips. So, John, you are always welcome to come up and chat. I love what you shared. I want to thank you and God bless you. Peace and love. And thank you for just coming and chatting. It's nice to have these conversations. So, everyone, I will be on Station Head later today. I'm doing radio. Okay. So I would love for you to join. I'm doing brunch. Okay. So it's stationhead.com/Jenny the John. So what I'll do is I do this on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. And I'm keeping 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern time. But I will continue to do uploading to YouTube. But I'm also looking at getting off of the platform somewhat, like having a real, you know what I'm saying, a little bit more of the, as they say, internet real estate, so that the coming election season, because that's when they deplatformed me off of everything, was they told me that I was interfering with the election. And so I'm just thinking, what are they going to do now that they're in all of this trouble with looking at the midterms? What do you think they're going to do, real quick, John? Do you think it's possible that they may try to cancel this midterm thing for some reason? What do you think they have cooking?
I think they're going to keep going until people start waking up. Um, this is a collective thing. I believe, like I said, there's good people involved in this, trying to counter the bad in the
Hmm.
world.
Hmm.
And I believe, a lot of what we do it because, it's kind of like we've done it over and over and over again. You know, I believe now it's trying to wake up the populace to say, hey, you know, we can do something different. You know, we've been trusting the experts, and we all found out that the experts lied. Um, We have common sense. We have knowledge. And I don't want anybody to ever say they're stupid, because you're not. That's what they want you to believe. You know,
Hmm.
you see these people in these suits and ties, and these are the experts, but they're liars. These are the sheep and or the wolves in sheep clothing. They
Hmm.
want you to think you're stupid.
Yeah.
And we as sheep, we've gone along with this for a long time. We too long. Um, there's a song I love. God, we need you now.
Nice.
And a lot of people today don't believe in God. They don't believe in religion, and because things have been given a bad name. The the bad in this world wants to make the bad look good, and
Right.
wants the good to look bad. You know,
Yeah.
so you need to use your own discernment because you hold the answers. That's just like, look at yourself. You know, what do
Hmm.
you think? What do you believe? Um, as far as like when it comes to something that comes up in this world, use your mind and think about it. You know,
Hmm.
it's like,
Hmm.
is this really a good thing for humanity? Is this a
Right.
good thing for the future and our children and our grandchildren, our great grandchildren? You know,
Hmm.
don't get caught up in here and now. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll be glad when I get, Nasara Gasara, and, all my debts are paid. And, it's like, forget about that. You know,
Hmm.
there's something more important. I'd like to see a day when our children can play in the streets and play with one another and no worries about being taken. Um,
Right.
there's this thing that they put in our heads called racist, where that's non-existent. We're going back in time to where are one people, we're one race, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
and we know our history. We know um, we are actually here on this earth to take care of it, and
Right.
to, you know, whether you believe in religion or not, it's to love each other.
Hmm.
We're not killers like they want us to believe and like they've been training us.
Right.
I was in the military, and I always questioned. Thank God I never had to kill somebody, never had to take a life, you know, and I'm
Hmm.
very blessed for that because
Yeah.
of what I'm learning now. I would hate to think that I went over and killed people just for their oil,
Mm.
or,
Right.
their resources, or to put a certain banking industry in their country, or you know different things, not really necessarily for the good of the people. It was because these people, bad people in positions, wanted more.
Right.
you know
Hmm. Wow. That is a blessing. And I'm glad you don't have that to contend with, because I know people that did go into the theater of war and have that as to work out. And it's so good that, you don't have that on your conscience. And blessings to all those that do, blessings that we will all be healed of our traumas as we begin to heal everything. I believe healing and cures are coming, and they are unfolding even as we speak. So I love that you set that tone, John, for such a great start for the morning. And I hope to have a lot of you over to check out the radio station, Jenny the John. So that's it right there. And thank you, John. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And please join again, okay?
Okay, thank you, Jim, for letting me have this time to say something. But I appreciate everything you do, because through this and what you're doing is the only way we're going to take on these principalities, um, and the rulers in high places, because the people need to realize, and they need to be educated, and you're doing an awesome job of that, Jen.
Oh, thank you, John. I'm doing my little part where I can, okay? So thank you and love you and blessings to you and your family, all right? And take care, everybody. I'll see you over on the radio and again at 11. And maybe I'll do another pop-up live stream. You never know, okay? All right, John, take care, okay?
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye, everybody. I'll see you around.